My
But
grandmother had more she had more money in the Bible that she kept by her bedside than I think I've ever had in my bank account. So
hey, Countdown to the Geekcast is Retro Ray here, back again with a phenomenal guest that I had the honor for him to be my first interview for Countdown, solo interview, and we get to talk to him about what he's been up to since the last time we spoke. He has been a busy man. Um, but before we get him into the room, I want to give a quick shout out to one of the people who help us out with comics and stuff like that. Basically, Dragon's Lair Alamo Ranch. They're the ones who help us with the comic reviews, and pretty much I get all the geek stuff for you guys. And Jonathan also is playing an iconic character. Of course, here it is, Dragon's Lair Alamo Ranch. Um, you probably know, you've seen this around here and there. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. We're going to be talking to him about how he got this role and then what he's been working on. Let's get Jonathan in the room. Jonathan,
hey, how you doing, Ray?
pretty good, man. How you been?
Good, good. We're making it with all the things that are going on. It's just it's nice to be looking at a friendly face. Let me just say that.
Oh, thank you, man. Same here, dude. And a lot of people don't have to. I was shocked, how we kept in contact for the last time we interviewed, and I was shocked. Like, I feel me and you really hit it off in some form or fashion, and I was kind of surprised. I mean, we text message, and that was so cool. Um, but after we talked, I mean, you had a number of projects you worked on. You
Yeah.
got your short film out there, "Take Me Back," and you got to work with Henry again from Primo. How was that, and your wife?
Uh, was I keeping it, first of all, keeping in touch with you was easy. You're such a good soul. And I did a number of interviews after Primo, and you and Amaro from Bite Size were, I'm not shy to say were my favorite.
Oh,
And
thank you.
both of you are like stand up people, really good hearts, big hearts, have a lot of integrity. So it was a pleasure. And not, on top of that, you're both like me. You're kind of geeky, and we love talking about comics and all things science fiction. And so that was just, it was great, and you're great.
Thank you, man.
Um, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've worked on a few things. Take Me Back was a personal project. I was trying to bring some attention to abuse on the front from a man's perspective, or from a young boy's perspective. And it's something that is still kind of in certain festival circuits on the back end. So I haven't released it publicly yet, but at some point I'm going to.
Nice.
And it was, it was one of those things where Denise Blazor is one of the actors in it. Jennifer Lee Locks, who's my wife, is one of the actors in it, and Henry was who I had in mind from the very beginning, because it was such a sensitive subject, and it was something that I had storyboarded and had planned out, and I really wanted to honor. I knew that I couldn't act in it and direct it, because I kind of understood my limitations at that point. So I needed to trust it to someone who was committed, who was great, and Henry was it for me. So
Wow. I can't wait to see it. It's won awards in the Austin International Art Film Festival. It's won the World Film Festival in Cannes for short film. I mean, that is so cool for you to be able to write and direct. But then you've also been in another short as well. I mean, you did a Tesla short, and that one, if nobody's really watched that one, you need to try to find it and watch it. It's basically kind of talking about kind of AI download software um, updates, and we don't read it; we just go through it. How was it filming that? That was okay for me when I just first saw it, and I was kind of like going through it, and I was like, "Yeah, that's true." I mean, we're so caught up, we're too busy. We just hit okay. We don't read anything, and we don't even actually pay attention what it does. And
yeah.
the whole premise of it. I mean, how was it? What were your thoughts when that story came to play?
Uh, So Edward Robles is he's the director writer, and he's someone I met. God, it's going on now. I feel like it might have been 4 years ago. It feels like I've known him forever. Amazing, amazing guy, incredibly talented writer director, and he had come into my life by way of another actor that I had worked with previously, and she had introduced us. And we were all three of us going to do, well, a number of us were going to do a different short film altogether that ended up falling through, as is often the case in our business. And Eddie and I hit it off, and he had mentioned to me, "Hey, listen, I have this other idea, and I've been wanting to make it for a while." And he sent me the script, and as soon as he sent me the script, I said, "Yeah, we got to make this." So we did. We got together. We got a group together. Philip Jackson was the cinematographer. Theo Cowan was one of the editors. I think the main editor, and it was basically me in the car,
Yeah.
and it was just an incredible experience from top to bottom, because I think it was one of the first times I had a lead in a film of that caliber, and it was definitely the first time I was able to sort of like delve that deeply into a character in such a short period of time, because it is only 9 minutes long,
Yeah.
and then be able to take this character from one place and then drastically go to a very different place. And I don't want to spoil it,
Yeah.
because you need to go watch. Everybody who hasn't seen it, you're like, well, I make if you can make the link available, people need to see the film. It works on so many different levels.
Yes.
And I'm so glad you found it. I'm so glad you loved it, and I can't wait for people to find it now and discover it and
Yes.
talk about it going forward.
No, I agree with you. It was a great it made me think so much about AI and self-driving cars, all that into one, and it's kind of scary at the same time, even though it's a short, but it's kind of scary because it's reality. But that was a great short, and I mean, I'm gonna try to see if I can find a link so we can attach it to this on our YouTube. Um, but I mean, you just didn't do that. You've been on SWAT, you've been on Chicago Fire,
Yeah.
uh, and those were awesome roles. Seeing you as one as a mayor, as an agent as well. Those were cool roles, and okay. These are shows I watch just because I work in the medical field and I deliver ventilators and I fix hospital beds, so I see all this stuff, and I love for some apparent reason I love these type of dramas and seeing it and then seeing them portrayed, and because it kind of you could tell when it's fake and when it's not, and they're trying to stay reality to like 911 and all that. But it was cool seeing you in that role. How was it being on SWAT and playing the mayor?
It was incredible. I mean, just being downtown Los Angeles in the city building, walking those hallways. I never thought about becoming a politician, but I think now it might be somewhere in my future. Ryan Keeler, who was the writer on that episode. I've kept in touch with him some, and he was so funny and kind. When I got done, he said, "Listen, if the acting thing isn't something you want to pursue," he said, "you should definitely consider politics." He said, "Because I believed you from start to finish, from beginning to end." So it was just a blast, and to to be the mayor of Los Angeles, to be able to do some good, uh, and to play opposite Annie and Shamar in the scenes. God, they were just incredibly generous and really funny, really smart. The entire crew is like a well-oiled machine, as I'm sure you can imagine. They're on season 8. Hopefully, they get a season 9. Yeah, so that was fun. And I think after Primo, I did Fear the Walking Dead. I did Law and Order SVU, and directed by Michael Smith. I did my episode. I did Walker, Independence, right? And they ended up bringing me back. They were so kind. And I was working with all of these incredible. Justin Cortez and Philemon were the two actors in Walker that I worked with. And my episode was directed. The initial episode was directed by Clara. And these are just, again, I am so lucky with the people that I have worked with,
Wow.
because no egos, all artists, all talented, and they're all committed to the craft. They're all committed to what we're doing, and it has made for some of the most incredible experiences at this point in my career. And especially coming off of Primo, which was the highlight, right?
Dude, I
I know,
missed
so
that show.
sad.
I missed that show because, okay, if people, you guys don't know Primo, go, if you can go find it and watch it. I'm Hispanic. I grew up in San Antonio. It's supposed to be based in San Antonio. Watching Primo's mom doing those things in order to get Primo's cake and stuff for him. If you grow up with a Hispanic mom, that's what a Hispanic mom does for their child. They do favors to get stuff to help get you what you need or vice versa. And having those uncles and that type of family base, that's what a Hispanic family is. They take care of each other. And I miss that show because we need more of that for Latinos and Hispanics out there because we don't have enough of that representation out there. But I
No, we
miss it
don't.
so much, man.
And what was great about the show is it was a Latin family, and that was the centerpiece. But it wasn't. We were just a family,
Yeah,
and I think there's not enough of that, right? There's not enough of society being able to see Latins and Latin Americans as just people,
yes,
right? Without there being some stereotype or cliche sort of hanging over. And not that there isn't, that that all of those parts of other shows aren't a part of our culture, because they are.
true.
But so often it becomes what the filter through which we see the show. And I think what was great about Primo was that it was about these five guys who love their sister and they love their nephew so much, and they're just aggressively stupid, in each in their own way. And not stupid in that, like, they're not stupid as
No,
people, right? But just blinded with love. Sometimes we do stupid things, right?
yes.
We miss the forest for the trees, and each of the uncles did that in their own special way. And it was genuinely funny. And I don't say that just because I was on it, because I'm a huge critic of comedy, and I think it was so well done, from the writing to the cinematography. Again, just from top to bottom, just really talented people.
Yeah, I mean, okay, the funny part to me, this was the most funniest part because when you tell, I think your daughter, your wife, check the money in the pocket in the closet. And okay, if people don't know, you don't know. That's just a to me, I think it's a Latino Hispanic thing that our family members do because we don't trust banks. And because my mom and it have done that where, oh, it's under the bed, or you know what I mean? It's just that right there. When I saw that, I busted out laughing, and little things like that. And that's what I think Shay bought when he wrote this thing and directed, kind of, and they worked together as a team. Was he was really bringing reality. It was really stuff that actually does happen.
Yeah, my
But
grandmother had more. She had more money in the Bible that she kept by her bedside than I think I've ever had in my bank account. So it was
oh
it
man.
was it was fun. It was fun to do that scene too. We were all in hysterics when we were
Oh, dude,
shooting
and
it.
then I didn't even see, you got me started on that again. Um, okay, the scene when you and Henry are fighting about the roof, getting him off the roof.
Yeah, my God,
That
that was
was
such fun to
hilarious.
do.
How
Yeah.
long did it take you to do that scene?
Uh, it was actually pretty fast. The most time we took was for the stunts. So the moment where you see me jumping off, I had a double, and I'm gonna regret not having his name handy, but really wonderful young kid. Like, it was so. He's like, God, he's got to be 25. He's got to be half my age. So the fact that we look close, even from a distance, was fantastic. I think, again, just special effects on that show is fantastic. But I think that was the most time we took in that scene, because they were being very safe, and they were being very careful. And so, but the rest of it was just like Henry and I, we just connected. We were ready to go, and oh God, Melissa Fumero was the director of that episode, and we could hear her and the rest of Valley Village laughing in between takes. Like we would sometimes we'd say things or we'd deliver lines, and they would yell cut, and people would break out in laughter. And it was like that kind of energy, on the set. It was that kind of energy throughout the whole series, but just especially I just remember it on certain days, like the dinner scene in the pilot, like when
Oh,
we all get to the table. I remember that. I forget who was saying it, but someone tells the story, and I think it might be Shay, where he turns to Mike Shore, and that's when they knew, because here we were, the entire cast at the table, talking over each other, and the energy and the dynamic was so, it just clicked. It was so beautiful, right? And it just worked. It wasn't forced. It didn't feel like we weren't a family. It felt like we had been together for years, and and we had only known each other, I think, that point for a week, right?
oh, dang.
So it just goes to show you how well we did in coming together as people, as actors, as artists, and then really being able to create that family. It was so much. I miss that set so much.
Dude, I wish someone else would have picked it up, or because it just like I was so looking forward to a season two, and I was just so disappointed when I found out it got canceled. And and the funny thing is, and I think I sent you the photo when I got to meet Shay. I was walking at a Comic Con here in San Antonio, and dude, just literally walking casual, also, just walking the con, and I literally stop him. I'm like, dude, Shay. And he looks at me and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, I love Primo. It was an awesome show. I go, is there any way I can take a picture with you? And like literally, like no one this convention is crowded. Dude's just walking like normal. And I'm just like, I'm the probably the only guy that probably approached him that, asked for a photo. But
Yeah,
coolest guy ever. Um, but yeah, man, it was such a great show. But not just doing that, you also this getting into what we're actually here for. This
yeah.
show, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Um, this isn't your voice first actual voiceover acting role, right?
No, I've done it. This is the biggest one I've ever done for sure, but
Because I
not
think the
not the first one.
first animation you did was Remember Us, right?
Yeah, it was Pablo Leon, Jonathan Correa. A lot of, again, we can put up the links because I think people need to find it, and I think it might even be available publicly. But it was an animation that they did about the Civil War in El Salvador, and it
Yeah.
was, oh God, it was I. That was another one when I remember when I got that. Alan Luna was the casting director for that, and when they sent me the email letting me know that I had gotten it, it was huge. Like they're just miles, there are milestones, and this was one because the subject matter was something that I could identify with and certainly connect to. It was a Latin crew, Latin led, and the animation. I mean, is between the two of them, they have so much history in animation. One works for Disney, the other one works for DreamWorks, and so it's it was an incredible, again, just an incredible. I know I keep saying that, but it really, like, just an incredible project to be a part of, and to be able to lend my voice. I was so happy to do it. I played the journalist who's sort of like the person who's not, I'm not narrating. I'm making and creating space for all of these people to tell their stories about the things that
Oh,
have happened to them. So I sort of bookend the short film, with two monologues. One sort of setting the viewer up for what we're getting into, and then the second one for kind of tying it all together. And God, it was so powerful. It moved me. I mean, I remember watching it the first time and then watching it again like a few times with people, and just it would get to me every single time. It was crazy. Not unlike Spider-Man, not to bring it full circle, but I really
yeah.
like. it was a surprise when Jen and I, because we went to the premiere, we saw the first 3 episodes. We were lucky to see it before it aired, and then we watched the whole series, and it was, God, it was such a surprise to find ourselves getting moved and becoming emotional watching some of these scenes, watching the evolution of Peter, watching his growth, watching him stumble, right?
Yes.
And then seeing how he recovered, right? Because it's not how we fall, it's how we get back up, right, Bruce?
Yes.
Um and or Peter in
Yeah.
as the case may be. But yeah, it was incredibly moving. And I think that is due to the animation, the storytelling, Jeff as our leader. I mean, like Shay, he's one of those rare individuals he's multifaceted, he's incredibly talented, kind, and a master of what he does, right? So he knew where everything was going and was able to guide us that way. And I think it's a testament to all of the people involved at just how moving the show can be. It's fun, it's exciting, but it's also incredibly emotional.
Oh, I mean, yes. I mean, getting back to you getting the role. Now, did you know you were reading for this, or was it kind of like a different name? When you were doing the audition, did you know what you were auditioning for?
No, I it was a different name because they have code names all the time. I'm trying to sort of
Exactly.
access my memory now. I think there was something in it where I suspected what it was, but I wasn't sure. And so I created this voice that was connected to the writing, right? So what they gave me in the sides and what I understood about who I thought it was, I was able to sort of put something together that was uniquely mine, right? But still honoring who I thought it was and the story. And so there was a lot of that. And I mean, frankly, I just didn't think I stood a chance. Voiceover is such a small world. Like acting itself is hard enough, right? But
Yeah.
when you get into like the subgenres of what I do or what we can do as actors, voiceover is an even smaller world. And rightfully so. It is incredibly difficult. Acting itself is difficult. Singing, dancing, all of the arts, they require, I think, a certain amount of dedication and ability. And voiceover is one of those. And I think, just having a good voice isn't enough. Being able to, you know what, I always think about, I think back to Benjamin Bratt when he was doing the interview. I think it was on Good Morning America, and he was talking about his role in Coco, right?
Yeah.
And he was acting out the bombastic way in which he would voice the character, right? Voice his character in the booth, to try and explain how much you have to put in order to get a voice performance, because you're just using this one instrument, right? You can't lean on like my facial expression to
Yeah.
something menacing, right? It has to be with the voice. So there's rising inflections, there's tone, there's emphasis on words, and it's a skill that you have to hone and you have to learn and constantly be working on. And let me tell you, it was God, it was so incredible. My Jen was she was laughing hysterically when I found I was jumping around like a little kid. I was like, Spider-Man, I was yeah, God.
Wow.
Yeah, we
I
don't have
and
that on
Well, and the thing is too, you don't know. Okay, so you're reading these lines. Did you do it from home or did you actually go into a booth?
I did it from home.
So yeah, you're reading these lines and you don't know anything. So when you got to see it for the first time put together into the scene, okay, we're gonna give spoilers, guys. If you don't know, you haven't watched this, stop, pause, go watch it. The fight scene between you and Spider-Man when he's in the white suit.
Yeah.
How was it seeing that scene put together and seeing your voice fighting Spider-Man?
It was an out of body experience. I mean, really, like I was watching it and I wasn't really prepared for
Wow.
for what I was experiencing because it wasn't me, right? It genuinely felt like here I am and I'm watching something, and it made I like I felt like a kid for so once I felt like a kid, and I also felt like I was witnessing somebody else's work entirely, because it's not just your voice anymore. Right now, now you've got Hudson, and you've got the sound effects, and you've got the animation, which is in and of itself so incredible, and everything worked together so seamlessly. And so yeah, it was I just didn't have words for it, right? A friend of mine had said a long time ago, sometimes when we find ourselves speechless, it's because we're encountering or experiencing something that we've never experienced before, and so we don't have a point of reference, right?
Yeah.
We can compare it to something else, but that experience is truly something we're trying to build words to describe, to articulate, and so it was like that for me.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. When I saw it and when I found out that you were doing this role and I saw your name in the credits, I was like, no freaking way. And I was just like, wow. And don't get me wrong, you don't fight him once, you fight him twice. And you fight both, Tombstone and Spidey again.
It takes two to beat me.
Yeah.
Two. Just all of
Dude,
you out there, so two.
dude. And then the thing is, it's okay, people are complaining about this special you're not gonna please everybody, and, that's the sad thing, no one's gonna be happy, but for me, as a comic reader, a comic geek, I like this. This was Ultimate Universe type Spider-Man. We were seeing
Yeah.
things, but they had Easter eggs here and there that tie to the MCU. So it was cool because it was like, okay, wow, they're talking about the Accord, they're talking about this. It was perfect. I mean, and the way they portrayed your character, and I'm gonna put up a photo. This one, and it's just like I love how they incorporated the images, like this one right here. This
Yeah.
was beautiful. And they changed it up a little bit, which more modernized it. And then this one was cool. This was my favorite. This is basically this is the original comic, and
Yeah.
they kind of redid it with the new modernized, which was cool as well. Now the question I have is, Kid Jonathan, you are tied to the MCU now. How does it feel?
God, it's again, I think it's just it's remarkable. It's been in my life since I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
Spider-Man comics. Spider-Man was my favorite superhero. I remember reading that issue with the Scorpion, and the history that comes with this is something that I honor, that I feel a huge responsibility for. And Jeff and Sarah Sherman, who's the casting director, she was also in the booth when I'd be filming. They would watch me. I left it all in the room. I left it all in the booth. Every time we went in and recorded, I can't speak for anybody else, but there was so much that I wanted to bring, and I didn't want to regret not doing something. And so I would be. It was like I had taken a shower. I'd be dripping sweat when I got done,
Oh
and
wow.
and it would affect me physically, because like Benjamin Bratt talking about Coco, like I would do everything, as much physicalization in the booth as I could. And I think I'll never forget Sarah at one point saying, like, I think it was in the second fight, there's a scene when he gets hit and he sort of like he wipes his mouth,
Yes.
and I did a sound like that. And when we got done with that particular take, she was so kind, and she said, "I could hear the sound of it. It made me think of you wiping your mouth." And it's that much work that I think goes into it, and it's funny because you don't. I think we take it for granted because it's just voice and animation, and we get taken away into these beautiful worlds, no matter
Yeah.
what we're looking at, right? And there's so much that goes into it, and I have a deeper respect for it now than I ever have.
So if as a from you as an actor's perspective, how was it? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's different. Like you said, you can no longer express your facial features and things like that. Is the process longer for some of the scenes compared to doing actual filming type thing, or what would you compare the two?
It wasn't for me because I really came prepped and ready to work.
Wow.
And like, and that's, I do that all the time. I know that for me, it's the only way that I can work. I'm not one of these people who, I mean, I can learn dialogue pretty quickly, but I love the work that I do. I love what I do. And it's so involved, it's, people see actors or acting and they think, oh, I can do that. And I was just talking about this, yesterday. Uh, and I think it's a great story, and I'm going to tell it again. But
Okay.
it's Pablo Picasso at the bar, and I don't know where the story comes. Like I should really look it up. I keep quoting this story, but it's true, right? And somebody coming up to him, hey, you're a Picasso, draw me something, and on a napkin in 5 minutes he makes this incredible picture, and he's like $250,000, and they're like, it only took you 5 minutes to draw it. What do you want? And he said, yes, but it took me 50 years to learn how to draw something this beautiful in 5 minutes. And that I think is the best way to describe artists in general, right? What you do, what I do, what the cinematographer does, what the gaffer does, what the sound people, everybody becomes a master at what they do when they work at it for a really long time. And I think that this is just another facet of what we do, right? It's another genre of acting. And I just know that I want to be as prepared as possible. I want to have my intentions. I want to have my wants for this character. I want to understand the relationship that I have with the other characters in the scene. And so coming in that way made it a lot easier. And I don't think we ever went over in our time, in our voiceover session time in the booth.
Wow.
So maybe that's why.
No, and this is the thing. I love watching shows. I've been a TV junkie. My dad used to give me crap because I used to watch too much cartoons, too much TV. Um, but the thing is, it takes you away from reality. And when you find, like right now, I'm watching The Pit. There's an actress in that show that she portrays a certain, you could tell she has some type of form of autism, but not too spectrum-ish, but she's a doctor and she's training.
Yeah.
But you could see, like, she's pulling off that, you could see the acting that she put behind it. And and when I saw you in Primo, I remember seeing you in these other shows that I watched, and I liked the characters you portrayed. I mean, you were always like a military person and stuff like that, and of course, you have a military background, naval, and thank you for your service. Because, and that helped you. I'm pretty sure that helped you prepare for those roles because you were just following what you were trained in the military. And everything I feel like you've had has been a stepping stone to get you to that next place that you're supposed to be. And it's so cool seeing you taking those steps and coming out and all these things.
I've been very lucky. I this is a really it's a really difficult business that we
Oh,
that
I can imagine.
that yeah, everybody's job is, and I don't want to start comparisons. It's just the nature of what we do as actors. Again, it's so easy to look at an actor and think, oh, they're on TV, they've made it. And it's so much, it takes 20, 30, 40 years to become an overnight success, right? It has never been more true. And so I want to be the best version of me that I can be, and the only way to do that is to study, to study, to study. And so I'm always doing that. I'm always reading something about history. I'm always reading current events. I watch documentaries. I try and feed my mind as much as possible so
Nice.
that I can bring as much as possible to every role that I'm lucky enough to get, or to audition for, because the audition is also the job, right? I try and bring, you know, even the we were talking about the audition that I did for Percy Jackson, and Lin Manuel did a wonderful job in it in playing Hermes. But I had auditioned for that role. Matter of fact, I had auditioned for that role while I was shooting Fear the Walking Dead after Primo. I was one of the. It was yeah, it was one of those amazing. It's one of those like once in a lifetime auditions that come in and you think, oh my god, like I would love to be on because I love the story, I love the series. I think Rick he did an incredible job writing them, and I think they've done an incredible job bringing them to life. And so, uh, I had cut together something with my Hermes audition, wanting to like try and let it go, and also to pay homage to what was done and what I had done, and sort of married the two. And it was really, I tried to be respectful about it, and I had posted it, and people, there were a lot of really lovely comments on it. But the fact that I was able to cut it together in a way where it could even fit into the show shows the kind of work that I did in preparing the role, right? Because I wasn't just doing the audition and pretending. I was really putting myself in that situation, imagining what the set looked like, imagining, and that's what we do as actors, I think. I mean, that's what I do as an actor. I know that that's what a lot of the actors that I know do as well, right? And the preparation, it pays off for us when we see something and we think it becomes something that we see and that looks effortless, right? But it should, if you do that kind of work, it should look effortless. It should
Yeah.
sound effortless. It should be something that takes you away. Because if
Yes.
you're thinking about the performance while you're watching the performance, something's wrong.
Yes. That's the part when you find an actor that takes you away and either makes you hate that character they're portraying, they're
Yeah.
doing their job. You know what I mean? And that's what I see in you when you portray the roles that you portray. And like I told you, I'm a TV junkie. And I know you can't talk about it, but I love this show. And I have heard that you are in some form or fashion tied to it. I don't know. You can't tell us. Don't tell us. But this show is same thing. Ultimate reality. It's basically if the Soviets had landed on the moon first. It has been breathtaking to watch. Like, what if this happened? What if that happened? And that stuff that really intrigues me. I'm like you. I like history and documentary as well. And it makes you think, man. Yeah. What if that had happened? Would we be that way? And it's such a great show. So I can't wait to see what if what you're involved in some way or whatever, but that is an awesome show as well. So that's what I'm saying. Every time I see you, you're tied to shows that I love. So it's kind of cool getting to see that you're working in these shows. And I can't wait to see what other stuff you're going to be working on. But as a if you okay, because we talked about this in the last interview. If you haven't watched it, go to watch the last interview. He talks about how he got into acting. Now, getting from the military and going there, you know, you literally had said that, you left and moved to California from Arizona, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
To start acting. Just you decided you wanted to try it. You started it there. Um, Now looking back, h- I'm pretty sure it was a scary step in your life. How do you see now? I mean, do you feel like taking that leap? How do you feel now?
Uh, Grateful, certainly grateful. I'm glad I did it. I never regretted it. Even now, I mean, there's a struggle, right? Because the more you work, the higher up you go, the harder it can sometimes become, right?
Yeah.
Because the world starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and so I'm I'm up against, and you want to talk about surreal. I'm up against people who I remember watching as a kid, right? People who've been at
Yeah.
it for sometimes decades longer than me, and it's incredibly moving to be even considered for some of these, and so, but it can be a huge disappointment because there are these things that you really want, and what I've what I feel like I don't know if I've come to accept this, or it really is true, but either way, I think it has become my truth, is that I get what I'm supposed to. You know, we get the roles that we're supposed to get, right? We get the jobs that we're supposed to get. And For All Mankind was high art. It was
Dude.
it was again, it was I mean, there are people working and operating at a really high level, and it's evident in the way that it looks, the way that it's been received, and I think that's I've been lucky enough to have that be my experience. And this, when Spider-Man is no different. I think the caliber and quality of people and talent on the show is through the roof. It's astronomical. And I love how much Jeff has set the stage for what could be, 25 seasons of this incredible story.
Yeah.
But I mean, specifically because he has subverted expectations, because he has taken a story and sort of put it on its head. He's really honored a lot of the characters, but he's also created a way for us to not be to keep us on our toes, right? To not be like sitting back just waiting to be awash with what we a different version of what we've always seen. This is more than just a different version.
Yes.
It is
It's its
he
own
is
world.
Yeah, and he's honoring the material in a way that I think, Steve Ditko and Stan Lee and all of those people did when they first created this character. There is something endearing about Peter for so many reasons, not least of which is his vulnerability, his want to help people around
Yeah.
him, but as both Peter and Spider-Man, right? And that's what's so beautiful about him, is that we're constantly watching him fight off anxiety and fear. He is the epitome of courage, and he's doing it from such a young age. He's got so much responsibility and so much weight on his shoulders from such a young age, and we know that, right? From even though the people in the comic don't, like, as Spider-Man, people don't know really how old he is, except for maybe his voice. But
Yeah.
just thinking about it from an audience perspective, God, it's so incredibly powerful and moving to watch this kid go through everything that he's going through, right? And keep his head up, keep fighting back. And there's something inspirational about that. You said earlier that we watch shows and we watch TV to be entertained and be taken away, and that's absolutely true. And I think if you can do that and also introduce what I think, like, Aesop tried to do in his fables, right? If you
Yeah.
can introduce some messages that remind us, and I think when it's done well, it's again seamless, right? Which I
Yeah.
think they did. I think they did in the show. When you watch something and you feel like charged up afterwards and inspired, like to do better, to be better as a person, as a human being, it doesn't get much better than that.
No.
Also, the way that the tail is coming out of my head makes it almost seem like I've got the scorpion backpack on, and like the tail is coming out. So I love that little effect that you guys did on this thing. That was great.
Oh yeah. And that right there, that was an awesome shot. Like when it's just seen, because that's pretty much from the scene that he gets beaten down. You've broken
Yeah,
his screen on his face, and that fight scene was just phenomenal. Um, but like you said, yes. And this opens up. This is just for me seeing the Spideyverse. Because if you've
yeah,
watched the Spideyverse, guys, we saw Spider-Mans from all the universes in the Spider-Verse,
right.
and we've seen characters, villains from the other verses as well. So this means there's a possibility your Scorpion may be in the Spider-Verse animation movie later. I'm hoping, keeping fingers crossed, because that's what they did in the movies. They had all these Spider-Mans from the cartoon series, the Legos, everything. And I hope they do this and bring them into that verse as well. Um, but it's been, yes, fingers crossed, man. I hope that they bring you in there, because everybody loved Spidey Gwen, and of course, if you guys didn't know, it's already been greenlit for season 2. So they already, teased spoilers of we're going to be seeing Spidey Gwen in there.
Right.
Um, but there's gonna be more stuff. I'm pretty sure. I'm hoping we get more episodes than we get that we got this past season. Um, but yeah, it was just such a great show, and getting you to see you work on it, and the way you portrayed him, and not only that, you had little verses of Spanish in there as well when you were talking, which was cool. And it's so crazy, dude. I never thought a year from now, me and you would be sitting down here again talking about this right here. I mean,
Neither did I. And by the way, like if I get to play Lego Scorpion someday, I think that would be another thing I can cross off my bucket list.
oh, dude, that'd be awesome. I mean, okay, are you prepared? Because you know, where is she? So they do Funko characters and stuff like that. So what are you gonna do when they make a Scorpion Funko or the Funko figure? What are your thoughts? I mean, what do you feel once
Well,
if
I'm
this
definitely going out
happens?
to buy one. I'm definitely going out to buy one. And I'll sign my own box, so just keep it here. That way I can just have it. I
Dude,
can sell it on eBay down the road.
dude, I can't wait, man. I like I told you, I'm a big Spidey Gwen fan. I liked her before she even made it to the big screen. It was just a different universe. For some reason, I love the Ultimate Universes because it makes you think of what ifs. Just like the
Yeah.
whole All Mankind, it's a what if show, and it makes you think, well, shoot, what if that happened? Because that's something that we all think about. Like, if I had made this decision, how would my life changed? And that's what these shows give you, and that's what we get from the Spideyverse. Um, and that's why you know and once okay, since I follow all this stuff, once I see it drop, I'm gonna tag you if they have your figure, so you can be prepared unless they tell you in advance. But I'm gonna have to get one, and I'm gonna have to try to get you to sign mine because I have Blue Beetle. The
Nice.
director, the director signed that one. And then I have
Angel?
yes, the director from Blue
Nice.
Beetle. Yeah, I met him in
Yeah,
Austin for the screening of Blue Beetle, and then
that's
Kevin
cool.
Smith is my favorite director.
Oh
You
my
got him.
God.
Yes. So
That's so cool.
if they come up with one of these, I'm gonna need to get mine signed by you because everyone that I have that I love,
Yeah,
I have them sign. And then not only that, the one I did for the Blue Beetle, he wrote Rasa on the side, and yeah,
that's cool, man.
and and that's pretty much because it's like it's unique to me. I'm not gonna sell it. I'm not gonna do anything, but the whole point of it is that connection that you know you have between the actor and the person you meet. And Angel was so cool, and I've heard he's going to be 100% involved in the Blue Beetle animation series.
Right.
So that's going to be cool as well. And
Shout out if
I
they
hope.
need a voice.
Yes, I was just gonna say Angel. And that's the thing because it's taking place. Well, it should take place in El Paso. So, yeah, it would be awesome to you be in both universes.
Yeah, man. I'm down.
Uh, uh, so what else can we expect? Like, what other project are you writing or directing anything that you have in works, like another short film? Or, I mean,
uh my buddy Crash Buist and I we put together a pilot for a series that we ended up shooting in New Orleans. Matter of fact, God, it's got to be a year ago now.
oh wow,
Or no, I think it was sort of the middle. I think it was the middle of last year. We shot, which we're trying to shop around. We're talking to a couple of shops right now,
oh nice,
and hopefully we can get that off the ground. It's an action series, and it's unique. And I get to play like a grizzled old detective with
nice.
a young partner played by Lauren Seneschal, and we have some really great people in there. Hugo Armstrong is in there. Joel Allen from The Purge is in there. Jalen
Oh dang,
Jaron Mitchell is in there from The Purge as well. We had it. We you know we I tried to bring as many people in as possible. It was really really great. I'll send. Listen, I'm happy to send it to you if you want to watch it.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so we've got that going. And we had written a movie. I think we might have talked about it, Crash and I, called Red Dirt, about two Mexican brothers and their struggle in trying to navigate being Latin in America, coming from Mexico, and the challenges that come with that, right? One of them is older, and so he already has the Mexican culture in him, and so he has to try and assimilate. And the other one is sort of raised in as an American, and so we have this duality, right, existing between the brothers, and
Yeah.
how it plays in their relationship. And
Wow.
we've been trying to get that off the ground. I'm writing. I've got a couple of treatments that I've been trying to help myself with, from a writing perspective purely, and I've had some people read in some interest in that, and yeah, and then I've got something that's coming out later this year that I can't really talk about, but it'll be really exciting for people.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and as soon as I can talk about it, I'll definitely tell you, because I think you'll dig it.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be interesting. But I want to see how things play out beforehand.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Other than that, man, like I'm just, we're just my wife and I are we write, we read, we audition when we can, and we try and support people, each other, try and build a community of artists here, so that we can be there for each other and help each other out. And we've tried to be there for a few people, after the fires. There's been a lot going on since the last we talked, and
Yeah.
that's been a challenge. But yeah, just one day at a time, man. One day at a time.
Yeah, no, no, it's great, man. I'm so proud to see you the stuff that you're working on, and I feel honored because, you didn't have to take the time to come on the show and talk about all this stuff. It's cool getting to talk with you and sending geeky stuff back and forth to each other.
Yeah,
That's always fun. But I mean, if you could, man, I don't even want to. I mean, okay, so we've got the Star Wars universe.
yeah.
Uh, we've got now we're gonna be getting supposedly Transformers and GI Joe together. I would love to see you. This is just me in the GI Joe movie as one of the soldiers that are in the I forgot his name off the top of my head. But he's a Latino soldier, and I would love to see you in GI Joe playing one of those characters. Um,
So would I.
you know what I mean? Yeah, and the thing is, because from the kid's standpoint, from I mean, I don't even know why I say kids because I'm freaking 48 years old, and I'm
We're big
looking.
kids.
Yeah, but I mean, GI Joe and Transformers. That's something that as kids, we always wanted. Of course, they've done it in comics, and they've rumored about movie live action. Well, now it's gonna happen and stuff, and man, I hope that's one genre. But no, I hope that's what you get. Is there something that IP that you would like to get into that you have not done yet?
Wow. Yeah, that's a big one. It's a big question. Working, man, working in the Spielberg universe in any way, shape, or form. Being a part of the next, if there's a spin-off of Indiana Jones, or if there's something Indiana Jones
Oh,
adjacent, that I love archaeology, I love history, I would love being a part of that, in some way, shape, or form. Star Wars is, God, it's like Spider-Man has been a part of my life since I was a kid. So, like I'm not, if you want to make me a Jedi, Lucas, by all means, I'm happy to be a Jedi. I already got the color lightsaber picked out. It's puce. No, I'm just kidding. I'm happy to be a smuggler too. Like, I can pick up the
oh,
reins
pirate.
for, man. Listen, just be part of Han's son's lineage in some way. I don't know.
Uh,
Like part of Lando's crew. You were
oh,
talking about Lando, man. Right, I'm right in there in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, those are I think those are ones that immediately come to mind. And then there's yeah, I have some ideas of things that I would love to option, books that I would love to option
oh
at some
wow,
point down the road when I have the wherewithal and the resources and the connections. There's all these stories from when I was a kid that I loved because I think it would be great to sort of bring them back and reintroduce them to this generation.
true.
So yeah,
That is true. Well, Jonathan, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I want to thank you again for coming on and talking about Spider
yeah,
Man, talking about your career, and I can't wait to see the future, what it brings. Guys, if you haven't watched Jonathan's first interview, go watch it. Talking about Primo, talking about how he got into the industry, and then you could come and watch this and find out where he's gone and where he's gonna go. Uh, guys, like follow. You can follow him on Instagram. What's your handle that you can people can follow you at?
it's just yeah, it's just Jonathan Jordan Medina at Instagram. Um, yeah,
And we'll add it to the link as well,
yeah.
if you guys didn't know. And guys, thanks again. We'll
Thank
see
you,
you
Ray.
later. Thank you, sir.